so we're going to go through some examples now. First question says, is the quadrilateral convex or non-convex? So we're looking at convex where we're standing inside and blowing out, and we're standing inside, blowing, inhaling, sucking back in. That would be non-convex. So this one here is going to be a convex quadrilateral, because if you stood inside, it's like you're blowing it out, okay? All the angles are less than 180 degrees. They're the main ways that you see it. In here, if we stood inside this one, we're actually sucking in, inhaling. Okay, so it comes back in, it's collapsing that shape. So we call it non-convex. And the main thing that you're looking for is this reflex angle here. So if you have a reflex angle inside the shape, it's going to be non-convex. Okay, in question 2, we're naming all the quadrilaterals that have these things happen. So when we're doing this, I'm just going to show you, I've written over here on the left, all the shapes that we were looking at in the notes. Okay, so we're going to consider these, all of these, as we're looking at this question. So the first one says exactly one pair of parallel sides. So we're looking at a square. No, that doesn't have exactly one pair of parallel sides. It has 2 pairs of parallel sides. A rectangle, that has 2 pairs of parallel sides. A rhombus, that has 2 pairs of parallel sides. A parallelogram definitely has 2 pairs of parallel sides. A trapezium is the one that does have exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. A kite, that doesn't have any pairs of parallel sides. So there's only one shape that fits that description. Okay, let's look at the next question. So we have opposite sides equal. So we'll go through them again. In a square, the opposite sides are equal. So we can write the square down. In a rectangle, the opposite sides are equal. So we can write that one down. In a rhombus, the opposite sides are equal. So we can write that one down. In a parallelogram, the opposite sides are equal, so we can write that one down. In a trapezium, the opposite sides are not equal. If you go and look at the shape in the notes, they're not equal. And in a kite, the opposite sides are not equal. The adjacent sides, the ones next to each other, are, but not the opposite sides. So all 4 shapes here, we have the opposite sides are equal. All right, in the next one, they want 2 pairs of equal adjacent sides. Remember, adjacent means next to. So 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal. That happens in a few shapes. A square, if you look at the sides next to each other, there are 2 pairs of equal sides that are adjacent. So we're going to write the square down. In a rectangle, the adjacent sides are not equal to each other in a rectangle. You have a long side next to a short side. So if you have a long side and a short side next to each other, they're not equal. In a rhombus, yes, the adjacent sides are equal to each other in a rhombus. You'll notice that with both of these, all 4 sides are equal in the square. So the adjacent sides will definitely be equal. Same with the rhombus. A parallelogram, that's a pushed over rectangle, remember. So you've got a long side and a short side. So a long side and a short side adjacent or next to each other, they're not equal, so we're not going to write that one down. And the next one, trapezium. Trapezium has lots of different length sides, so that's not going to work. And a kite, it definitely happens in a kite because that was its definition. We do have the adjacent sides being equal to each other at the top of the kite, and at the bottom where we have the 2 long sides, they're equal to each other. So we do have 2 pairs, short sides and the long sides, that are equal to each other. Okay, number 3. Which quadrilateral is also called a So when you're in primary school, you probably called this shape a diamond, and then in high school, we taught you the proper name for the shape, and it's actually a rhombus. Okay? We see a rhombus and we draw that, but if you look at it on the side, it actually is a diamond. Okay? A diamond would probably be drawn like this, but it's still a rhombus. It's the same thing. Its technical name is a rhombus. Okay, in question 4, I've given you a shape here with lots of letters. When you draw this up, you're drawing a big triangle with all equal sides. And then inside that, you're going to mark the middles of all the sides. And you're going to join those up into another little triangle in here. All right, so now what we're going to do is find what type of quadrilateral we're naming. So if we look at A, C, D, F, we've got A, C, D, F, and go back to the beginning, back to A. That shape that you're looking at there has one pair of parallel sides here. So that's a trapezium. Okay, I'll get a different colour, get the green one. So we're going to do F, B, C, D. So we have F to B, to C, to D, and back to the start. I've just drawn it away from the red so you could see it a little bit better. If you look at that, that's a pushed over square, that's a rhombus. Okay, in question 5, it says, which of the following is not a parallelogram? So when you get to 5 and 6, they are a little bit tricky. You've really got to look at the words carefully. So we want to know, look through these, so which is not a parallelogram? Now you're probably looking at going, well, none of them are parallelogram. It hasn't got the word there. But a parallelogram is just got 2 pairs of parallel sides. So a square, it does have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So that is a parallelogram. A kite, does that have 2 pairs of parallel sides? If you look at the way it's drawn in the picture, that's not a parallelogram. I think that's going to be an answer. But we'll just check the others as well. So a rectangle, does that have 2 pairs of parallel sides? Yes, it does. It's got the 2 long sides, they're parallel. The 2 short sides, they're parallel. So this is actually a parallelogram. And a rhombus, is that a parallelogram? Does that have 2 pairs of parallel sides? It does, because it's even though all the sides are equal, the 2 sides opposite each other, they might be here, they might be over here, they are parallel. And the ones that go the other way, the ones we pushed over, they're parallel. So that one's a parallelogram. So the only one that's not a parallelogram is the kite, B. All right, indeed. Now these always trick people, so be careful. It says, which statements are always true? The first statement says, a rhombus is a square. Well, is a rhombus a square? Let's think. That's what a rhombus looks like. Is that a square? I don't think it is. No, it's not. A rhombus is not a square. There's lots of things that happen with a square that are not happening in that shape there. All right, it doesn't have 4 right angles. It does have 4 equal sides. It does have that, but it doesn't have 4 right angles. So that's not true. So when you're doing this, it's probably a good idea if you just have a look at the first word, draw the shape, and go, is that a square? You'll probably see the answer yourself. Okay, now the next one says a square is a rhombus. So let's see what happens. We'll draw it. There's my square. Now, is that a rhombus? Now, you might go, no, because a rhombus is on a line. But really, if you look at the definition of what we wrote down for a rhombus, we wrote down that a rhombus has 4 equal sides. Does that have 4 equal sides? Yes, it does. It's got 4 equal sides. So that's always going to be true. A square is a rhombus. It has 4 equal sides. So if that shape has what this needs, which is 4 equal sides, then the answer is yes, it's always going to be true. So if you look back up here in this one, for a square, for it to be a square, we needed to have 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. Well, it passed this test. It did have 4 equal sides, that shape, but it didn't have 4 equal angles, and that's why it's a no. Okay, so I hope you understood that, especially those last ones that are a bit trickier. So have a go at your homework. Most of it you'll be fine with. There is a little bit in there where you have to remember your symmetry. So just go back and have a look at the video again if you need it, or look back at your notes and have a go at it. Good luck with your homework.